In this video, we are going to talk about Laplace of derivatives and the application of Laplace transform in solving differential equations. Okay, so let's start by deriving the formula for Laplace of derivatives. So let y prime equal to dy over dt. Here, y is the dependent variable and t is your independent variable. So if we take the Laplace transform of the first derivative of y with respect to t, we are going to use the definition of Laplace transform, which is the integral of e raised to negative st times the first derivative of y with respect to t with limits from 0 to positive infinity, integrating with respect to t. We are going to use integration by parts. So we will let u equal to e raised to negative st, the kernel. We need to differentiate so we can have the value of du. This will be negative s e raised to negative st dt. Also, we need to know the value of v. We use this part right here as our dv equal to y prime as a function of t dt. So we integrate both sides for us to be able to determine v. So you know that y prime is equal to dy over dt. Y is a function of t. I can cancel here dt, and then integrating dy as a function of t will give me y of t. Plugging in to the formula, we have this. So u times v is, of course, we just copy this y as a function of t times e raised to negative st. Applying the limits later from 0 to infinity. So minus integral of v times du. We have minus negative s. Since we are to integrate with respect to t, s is held constant. We put s before the integral sign here. And then we have negative s times e raised to negative st times dt. Our v is y of t. Okay, this is not y times t. This is y as a function of t. We apply now the limits. Upper limit muna minus lower limit. So y of infinity, e raised to negative s times infinity is negative infinity. So e raised to negative infinity, if you remember, this is 0. And then we apply the lower limit. So y of 0 times e raised to negative s times 0 is 0 siya. So e raised to 0 is equal to 1. And remember, this is the definition of Laplace. We copy negative s times negative 1, so positive s, times v. This can be written as Laplace of y of t. So now we have this formula for the first derivative of y as a function of t equal to s times the Laplace of y. Take note that y as a function of t, so you may not write this. So Laplace of y minus, this is y of 0, and this term right here, so 0 times this, equal to 0 yung term na to. So ito na yung formula natin. So now let's proceed to the second derivative. Okay, so now let's try to determine the Laplace of the second derivative of y with respect to t. We apply, of course, the definition, which is the Laplace of y double prime of t is equal to the integral of e raised to negative st times y double prime of t with limits from 0 to infinity. We are integrating with respect to t. So the same idea, we are to use integration by parts. So let u equal to e raised to negative st, the kernel function. We differentiate this. We have du equal to minus s times e raised to negative st times dt. And then our dv is equal to y double prime of t dt. We integrate both sides of the equation. So we have v equal to, of course, if you integrate y double prime, it becomes y prime of t. Plugging into the formula for by parts, which is u times v minus integral of v times du. So here we have u times v. So we have y prime of t times e raised to negative st minus integral of v times du. What is our v? Y prime of t. What is our du? It's minus s e raised to negative st times dt. And then we apply the limits and simplify. So we have this term right here. So y prime of infinity times e raised to negative s times infinity is negative infinity, and e raised to negative infinity is, so this is 0. So minus lower limit y prime of 0, e raised to negative s times 0 is 0, so e raised to 0 is equal to 1. Minus s times negative, so we have positive s, and this is the definition of Laplace. Given ka ng function na y prime of t, you can write this into this form. So positive s times Laplace of y prime of t. Okay, now we have, so when s is greater than 0, or basically s is positive, so we now have s, remember this, the Laplace of the first derivative of y. That is equal to what? To this one, s times Laplace of y minus y of 0. And then you have minus y prime of 0. So from this term is 0. So you need not to put here my plus 0. Okay, let's go to the next page. We distribute this s. So s times s, you have s squared times Laplace of y. S times negative y of 0. So you have minus s y of 0. And then copy this, minus y prime of 0. So this is the Laplace of the second derivative of y. What have you noticed? Take note, pag second derivative, yung first term natin, may s yon. Yung power ni s is 2. Nag-correspond dun sa kung ano yung order ng derivative. So kung second derivative siya, so it's s squared times Laplace of y. Yung first term lagi, yun yung may Laplace lang. And the succeeding terms, yung s mo, nag-decrease yung exponent niya by 1. So from s squared, naging s raised to 1. And then the third term is s raised to 0, or basically 1. So hanggang dun lang hanggang sa mawala na yung s. Sa case naman ng y natin, di ba yung first term is Laplace of y. Yung second term natin is y of 0. Ibig sabihin yung value ni y at the independent variable equal to 0. And then the third term is y, or first derivative of y, the value of the first derivative at the independent variable equal to 0. So having explained those, yung dalawang Laplace ng derivatives, we have first Laplace ng first derivative, which is this, Laplace of the second derivative, which is this one. We can now write yung pinaka-formula natin for Laplace of derivatives. At the Laplace of the nth derivative of the dependent variable y with respect to t. So ito, tandaan ninyo, pwedeng magbago yung mga variables na ginagamit natin. In this case, we have utilized y as our dependent variable and t being our independent variable. Nth derivative, yung first term natin, may s. Right? Ano yung power ni s? Depende sa kung anong klaseng derivative siya. So kung iyan ay fifth derivative, so s raised to 5. And decreasing hanggang s raised to 0, or basically 1. Let's have an example. Ano yung Laplace of derivative ng fourth derivative of y with respect to t? And that is s raised to 4 times Laplace of y minus s cubed. Laging minus minus yan, ha? Yung unang term lang yung positive. So minus s cubed times y of 0 minus s squared times y prime of 0 minus s times y double prime of 0 and minus y triple prime of 0. Yun na yung last term natin. Tandaan niyo ha, yung last term mo is nabawasan kumbaga yung order ng derivative, di ba? So ito, fourth derivative. So ibig sabihin, ang last term mo, hinahanap yung value ng third derivative kung saan yung t is equal to 0. Okay, let's try another example. Ito naman, iba naman yung variable ang ginamit ko. Yung dependent variable ko is v. Yung aking independent variable is u. So, ibig sabihin, makita mo dito na v of 0, yung value ni v kung saan yung u is equal to 0. So, ganun lang yung mga conditions actually ito kapag nasa differential equation na tayo. So, third derivative. Get the Laplace of the third derivative of v with respect to u. So, it's equal to, unang term is s cubed times Laplace of v minus, nag-decrease, diba? So, s squared times v of 0 minus s. Ayan, nabawasan ulit yung s mo, yung power niya. So, s times v prime of 0 and minus v double prime of 0. Ilang terms meron to? 1, 2, 3, 4. So, 4. Ito, 5. So, kung bibigyan kayo ng Laplace of the 6 derivatives, you're expecting to have 7 terms. Laplace of 10th derivative, so you have 11 terms in your answer. We'll apply now the Laplace of derivatives in solving linear differential equation with constant coefficients, of course, with initial conditions. So we have a differential equation na linear, third derivative of y minus 3y double prime plus 3y prime minus y equal to 9x times e raised to x. So yung y natin is the dependent variable and the independent variable natin is x. So basically, ano siya, dy over dx. So hindi na t ang ginagamit natin dito. Standard na equivalent ng y prime is dy over dx. And we have the initial conditions. Y is equal to 0 when x is equal to 0. Y prime is equal to negative 3 when x is equal to 0. Y double prime is equal to 3 when x is equal to 0. Yun ang ibig sabihin nito. Okay, or if we write it, ito yon. So when x is equal to 0, ito yung value ni y. So y is equal to 0, y prime is equal to negative 3, y double prime is equal to 3. Then we will use Laplace in solving this differential equation. So we will take the Laplace of both sides of the equation. Kung ilalaplace ko yung left-hand side ng equation na to, ilalaplace ko din yung right-hand side. So you can actually separate. Pwede mong kunin muna to, tapos kunin mo yung Laplace na itong nasa kaliwa. So we will take the Laplace of the right-hand side. So ito yun. Laplace of 9x e raised to x. Di ba yung ginagamit natin? T sa examples, di ba? So isipin mo na lang na t ito. So 9t e raised to t. Copy the constant. This is what? First shifting. So 1 factorial over s minus 1 raised to 2. N plus 1 lang. Sa shifting property, dito ka titingin sa exponential function. So 9 times 1 factorial is 9 over s minus 1 squared. Ito na yung value ng right-hand side ng equation natin. Standby lang to. Okay, mamaya mo na siya i-equate. Okay, so let's now go to the left side of the equation. So we are going to determine the Laplace transform of y triple prime minus 3y double prime plus 3y prime minus y. Okay, so yung first term is we take the Laplace of third derivative. And that is, using the formula, we have s cubed times the Laplace of y as our first term minus s squared times y of 0 minus s times y prime of 0 minus y double prime of 0. So take note, we are taking the Laplace of the third derivative. So we have how many terms? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 terms. And notice that the degree of, or the exponent of s decreases, okay, from s cubed up to s raised to 0. Okay, the same with the second term, so get the Laplace of minus 3y double prime. Again, it's the plus of derivative. So it's minus 3. You put the negative 3 in front of the Laplace symbol. So minus 3 times the Laplace of y double prime, and that is equivalent to s squared Laplace of y minus s times y of 0 minus y prime of 0. Put a grouping symbol since we have negative here outside. And then the third term will be find the Laplace of 3y prime. So 3 is a constant, so you put that before the Laplace symbol. So we have 3 times the Laplace of y prime, which is equal to s times Laplace of y minus y of 0. Finally, we have minus the Laplace of y. So you just have to write in this form. Now, the next step will be applying the conditions. So we apply the initial conditions. It says that the value of y is equal to 0 when x is equal to 0. Y prime is equal to negative 3, and y double prime is equal to positive 3 when x is equal to 0. So going back to the Laplace of the left side of the equation, in which we have utilized the Laplace of derivatives. Now we apply the initial conditions. So ang gagawin lang natin is papalitan natin yung y of 0 equal to 0, y prime of 0 equal to negative 3, y double prime of 0 equal to positive 3. So hanapin mo dito and then you replace by these conditions, by these values. So y of 0 is equal to 0. Y prime of 0 is equal to negative 3. Y double prime of 0 is equal to positive 3. Here, this will be replaced by 0. Y prime of 0 is equal to negative 3. And then here, y of 0 is equal to 0. Okay, let's now simplify. First term is s cubed, so you copy times the Laplace of y. Now, second term is we have s squared times 0 is 0. So wala na tong term na to. The third term is negative 3 times negative s. So we have positive 3s. And the next is positive 3 times negative. So you have negative 3. Now we go to this part. So negative 3 times s squared Laplace of y. So you have this. Negative times negative, you have positive times 0. So tanggal na rin yung term na to. Negative 3 times negative is positive 3 times negative 3. So you have negative 9. Okay, let's go here. 3 times s Laplace of y. So you have this. And this is 0. So 0 times 3 is 0. And then finally, you copy Laplace of y. Take note of the grouping symbol. So you should be careful of doing or writing the grouping symbol. Now we have this resulting part of our equation, the left side of the equation, having applied the initial conditions. Now we go to equating it to the right side of the equation since we have this result now. Okay, let's now go to the next page. Okay, so this is it. This is the resulting part of the left-hand side of the equation after applying these conditions. And now, okay, we simplify by combining like terms. And we can see that we have Laplace of y, Laplace of y, Laplace of y, and Laplace of y here. So what we will do is we factor out Laplace of y, and we have now its coefficient being s cubed minus 3s squared. Ito yun. Plus 3s, galing yan dito, and then minus 1. So this is now the factored form Laplace of y times this polynomial here. And then here you have to combine like terms if there are like terms. Itong 3s, wala siyang kapareho, so just copy 3s. You have negative 3 minus 9, so you have minus 12. And then you equate to the right side of the equation, to the Laplace of the right side of the equation. At nasolve natin yun kanina. Now, so we write, ito yung kanina yung value ng Laplace ng right side of the equation. So, as you notice here, itong s cubed minus 3s squared plus 3s minus 1. So, pwede siyang i-factor, di ba? Which is equivalent to s minus 1 cubed. So, inayos ko na siya. And then, ito naman yung transpose ko to the right side of the equation. Since Laplace na rin naman lahat yan. Oops. Okay. So ito, you have 9 over s minus 1 squared. Itong 3s transpose sa right side, magiging minus 3s. Itong minus 12 transpose to the right side will be plus 12. So ano yung next step natin? We have to remove this s minus 1 cube sa left side ng equation natin. Tandaan na, we are solving the differential equation. So, yung sagot mo, hindi dapat naka-s, di ba, na variable. You have to bring back the original na variable, and that is by taking the inverse. Pero bago yan, ayusin muna natin to. So, divide both sides by s minus 1 cube. S minus 1 cube tanggal na yun sa left side. So, ito magiging s minus 1 to the fifth. Ito yon. Yung second term natin, minus 3s over s minus 1 cube. Ito na siya. Yung third term natin, 12 divided by s minus 1 cube. So, ito na. Since we are to solve for the solution of a DE, na yung variable na given ay y tsaka x, since we have to transform now, kailangan natin i-take yung inverse Laplace nito to find for y equal to f of x, yung pinaka-solution ng DE natin. So taking the inverse of both sides of the equation, so we have inverse of Laplace of y, it will become y, ano din sa right side natin. This becomes y. Ito, it follows linearity properties, so you can take the inverse of each term. Yung unang term natin is 9 over s minus 1 raised to 5. You have to recall the formulas of the elementary functions of the Laplace transform. Ilabas natin yung 9, and then isip tayo kung ano yung appropriate na, ano yung pinanggalingan nito, what is this formula? Since s minus 1, first shifting, di ba? So, may exponential, yung original na function natin. So, 5, n plus 1, ano yung n mo? 4. Kaya, yung numerator mo is 4 factorial. Since we have introduced 4 factorial, i-neutralize natin siya. So, by dividing outside by 4 factorial, we can now be able to write kung ano yung function na yun. Ang Laplace ay 4 factorial over s minus 1 raised to 5. Yung second term natin, ito yung second term natin. So, minus 3, yung constant, lalabas lang natin siya. Take the inverse Laplace of, ano yung ginawa natin dito? Since s lang siya, over s minus 1 cube. You cannot see the formula for this, di ba, na s. So, kailangan natin matanggal yung s sa numerator natin. So, kaya ang gagawin natin is we, di ba, factor out 3. We do some manipulation here. Para ma-simplify natin yung numerators, nag-minus 1 tayo dun sa s, and then plus 1. Then put a grouping symbol. Yan, para ma-simplify. So ito, you will have two terms now here. Diba? Kung naiisip nyo. So s minus 1 over s minus 1 cube. And the other term is, pag pinaghiwalay mo tong fraction na to, 1 over s minus 1 cube. Again, s minus 1 over s minus 1 cube. Common, di ba yung s minus 1? So cancel mo siya. So magiging 1 over s minus 1 squared. Yung pangalawang term naman dito sa part na to is 1 over s minus 1 cube. Now we have the third term, the inverse Laplace of 12 over s minus 1 cube. Ilalabas natin yung constant. First shifting din to, right? N plus 1, so yung n mo is 2. Therefore, the numerator should be 2 factorial. So we have to neutralize that by dividing outside by 2 factorial. Para wala ka dumabago sa mismong state ng term na yan. Having written this, we can now simplify and find its inverse, which is yung unang term natin. Okay, balik tayo dito. This is what, since yung variable na involved natin is y tsaka x. Daan na y as a function of x. Itong formula na to is may x ka. Ano yung power ni x? Ano yung n natin? X raised to 4 times e raised to x. But 9 over 4 factorial. So 9 over 24, itong part na to. Simplify natin, ano yung common sa kanila? 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 24 divided by 3 is 8. That's why we have 3 over 8 x raised to 4 times e raised to x. That's our first term. Yung second term natin is this one. So ayusin lang natin. Ayan. So ito yung unang term natin, which is 1 over s minus 1 squared. Ganun na siya. And then yung isa naman is 1 over s minus 1 cube. Pinaghiwala natin yung fraction na yon. Nasa loob siya ng kanina, di ba? Isang fraction sila. So ngayon, distribute natin yung minus 3 sa bawat term. So you have minus 3, then minus 3 here. Ito yung n dito is 1 factorial, di ba? So 1 naman, so satisfy naman natin yung formula. Dito, you have n is equal to 2, so the numerator should be 2 factorial. So we neutralize by dividing 2 factorial outside. Now, for the last term natin is, and going back dun kanina, it's 12. Ito yun. So 12 over 2 factorial. So 12 divided by 2 is 6. Yan, satisfied na yung formula. So 6 times x raised to, ano yung n? 2. So 6x squared e raised to x. Now we find the inverse of these last two terms. So you copy the first term, second term will be 3. Ano yung n natin dito? 1. Okay, so 3x. So minus 3x e raised to x. And this term here is you have 3 over 2 factorial is 3 halves. So minus 3 halves x squared e raised to x. And you copy the last term, which is 6x squared e raised to x. And then simplify since you have like terms here. So the answer is you copy the first two terms and the last term will be combining these two terms, minus 3 halves plus 6. So you have positive 9 over 2 x squared e raised to x. So this is now your final answer. Okay. Okay, ito na yung final answer natin. Okay, as you can see, we have utilized Laplace in finding for the solution of the differential equation. We did Laplace transformation. We also did inverse Laplace para bumalik siya dun sa original na variable. Okay, that's it. Thank you.